interested in nutrition, about healthy eating according to Canada's food guide, food selection, food preparation, food storage, and food safety as certain topics. And then today's topic's going to be about healthy eating on a budget, and with the focus on food preparation for 1 or 2. So just to start off, I'm sure you've all been preparing food for many years, and do you have a favorite food, and why would that be your favorite? Does anybody have a favorite food? I can tell you what mine is.
Well, like a stir fry, I think. I made a big frying pan, and I made I have made brown rice, and threw in a bag of spinach. I chopped up an orange pepper and a red pepper, and then I threw in some beef strips, and then I would eat that. It's good for like 3 days because I don't eat like large amounts.
And what do you like about that? Is that a favorite?
That it's a 3-day
okay, that's good. Yeah.
And that it's low fat,
right?
And that they're healthy things. That it's easy because I hate cooking and I have problems standing in one place.
Yeah.
So you know, all of that stuff. Yeah. But mostly that it's low fat. It's not fried. It's you know.
Well, lots of us do have a favorite food, and we like them because they're easy to do. They taste good. They may be comfort foods, and they may relate back to your childhood. And those are all good reasons for enjoying a meal or enjoying a favorite food. But at the end of the presentation, you should be able to think about your favorite food and determine whether it's a good choice or whether maybe it needs to be modified a bit to improve the nutritional complement. So just to go back to the idea that you've done a lot of preparation for yourselves and others over the years, you're aware of the fact that good nutrition is very, very important for just to provide you with the energy to do everything you do every day, to help you with your health, and to improve vitality. And to that end, Health Canada developed the Canada Food Guide, of which we have copies over there. This is the Canada Food Guide, and you no doubt are very familiar with this food guide. It is a tool that was developed by Health Canada for individuals to use to help guide them in developing a healthy eating pattern, to help them ensure that their diet is nutritious and that it provides a wide range of nutrients, and to help ensure that you do get the energy and the nutrients in your diet to keep you healthy. So the Canada Food Guide has taken all, or I guess I could ask you, do you know what a healthy eating pattern is? What would you, usually it's what would you get more of and what should you have less of? So what would you want more of?
More of veggies.
Right.
And fruits.
Yeah, more fruits, more vegetables.
And your protein should only be the size of your palm.
That's right. And so, and what would you have less of?
Meat and meat products.
Yeah.
Carbohydrates that we all crave.
Possibly, yeah.
White carbohydrates.
White, yeah.
I used a lot of tofu.
I did
tofu.
You want
like soybean,
and so you might have less fat too.
Oh yeah.
Less sugar. And less sugar. And less salt.
And salt.
Yeah, so those go into a healthy eating pattern. And Health Canada took all the foods in the world and divided them into 4 food groups. So you have your fruits and vegetables, your whole grains and grain products, your milk and milk alternatives, and your meat and meat alternatives. And what they emphasize is in your diet, you want as wide a range of choices as possible. And that is so you'll expose yourself, or so that you will have have as wide a range of nutrients in your diet. And that wide range of nutrients is very good for you. So, for example, if you were to eat fruit every day, which is good for you, but you choose to eat only apple every day and never vary, that means you're limiting yourself to only the nutrients that are found in the apple. So whereas if you have an apple one day, banana the next, an orange the next, you widen the variety and the range of nutrients that go into your body. Or you could have half an apple in the day, half a banana, and half an apple the next day, and half an orange, so that you have a nice range of nutrients. So that's really very, very important. And you can see that there's a wide range of choices that you can make. It also emphasizes the need to reduce the amount of fat in your diet, and it recommends that no more than 2 tablespoons, that you have no more than 2 tablespoons of unsaturated fat in your diet. And you should also, when keeping the fat down to unsaturated and oils, you should also try to remove as much as possible, or eliminate as much as possible, saturated fats such as butter, maybe lard that you'd find in pastry, for example, and some pre-prepared goods that you might buy in the store would have lard in them rather than butter.
I thought lard was gone.
Oh no. They sell it in vast quantities.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's white stuff,
yeah,
right?
That's
white
right.
Solid.
That's right. White and solid, and it's very often used in pastry. Very often. Yeah.
Can you just answer a little question about margarine and its value?
Well, yes. So margarine is made with. You have to be careful. Up until recently, it was hydrogenated, which meant that it could be trans fats. Now they have they've modified their processing of the oils, and I believe with Dussault, for example, that it's a combination of butter and oil, so that you're happy. So the amount of saturated fat is very low. And you have more oils involved. But the margarine process, as far as I know, has changed so that it isn't as highly trans fat dense as it was.
And there's one now I bought, it has no salt, but it also has no trans fats. And it says it's non.
That's right. And so you would,
it's made with olive oil.
That's right, yeah. And so what you do is you should look at your at the nutrition facts table on the container for your fat, whatever it might be, and determine, let's say if it is margarine, and see if there is any trans fat in it, and you can make your choice based on that.
Can I ask you a question, because you're talking about fat? When you look at because I really look at the
nutrition
label,
facts table,
and you see it says it's 15% fat, but then when you look at the actual fat, it says fat 0, and it says saturated fat 1.5. Where's the rest of the fat?
Yeah, there are lots of different fats. So they may not tell you about all of the polyunsaturated fats. For example, the only fats that are noted on the nutrition facts table are those fats that you should be really aware of. So it's saturated fats and trans fats. The unsaturated fats are good for you, supposedly, you know, in relative, in a reasonable amount. But those are the ones. So if you see 15, that in one serving, 15% of your diet 15% of your daily value or your daily quota of fat is saturated fat, you want to be very careful about that because that's considered to be a high, 15% or higher is a very high amount, and you'd want to keep it quite low.
Okay, because there was a dietitian at Loblaws, and she was trying to explain it to me, and she said, well, you have to take your we were looking at cheese, and she said you have to take your saturated fat, and you have to see what percentage of the total amount of fat shown is. So if the fat is saturated fat is 8 grams or whatever, to the 15%, and then you have to do that. And I thought,
no, you can just use the, if it's 5% or lower, it's considered low. If it's 15% or higher, then it's high.
Oh yeah, well.
And you have to, you can use that as a guideline. And we do have only one of those, I believe.
Now, is that 5% of saturated fat or 5%
It's just
total?
5% of your daily value for one serving. Anyway, is it? Can I move on?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay, that's all.
Yeah, I'm just really.
So with regard to fat also.
I wanted to say, my son-in-law is a doctor in chemistry, and one day he came, he doesn't live here in Ottawa, and he said, never buy margarine, doesn't matter what kind, because there's chemical in there that they don't tell you, and it's not helping. You might as well put one bottle and be very careful.
I believe in that too.
Or use or don't use anything.
So I mean, I'll put the bottle twice a year. That's it. Because you see, margarine,
it's really a choice for everyone to make, and Becel is, I guess, an example of a combination of butter and oil that you could buy. But if it's being sold in the grocery store, and you look at the nutrition facts table, and there are no trans fats, then you know that, or the trans fats are absolutely minimal, then it's a choice that you make about whether you should eat it or not.
Eat it, yeah, but
I can't tell you what.
Margarine, to keep soft, that is really dangerous chemical.
Yeah. Well, you can. All of the ingredients.
But it's not marked.
No, but all of the ingredients are marked on the container.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, all of the ingredients, sorry, are
that's been sitting in my, it's now, I'm using on for the sole of my feet, because it's been sitting in, I think, for 5 years, it never went bad. If you guys want to risk it, go ahead.
Yeah.
It has to be
The trans fats, Health Canada does allow a small percentage that manufacturers are allowed to use in their products, and they are allowed to say no trans fats on the label, even though there is a small percentage still in the product. So you do have to be cognizant of that, and you have to make your choice based on that.
But at our age, we've been wolfing down trans fats for years.
Well, as I said, this is a choice that you have to make based on your own philosophy.
I mean, now we know about it, we're not. But I mean, before that, when we were teenagers, I mean, we were, all of us were eating trans fats because we didn't know that it was not good
but
for us.
it's come to light, though, I think, because we have we ate large amounts that the negative aspects of it
But
became
Health Canada has taken out trans fat. They know they're bad for us. So they have,
but not way back. I mean,
no, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm
but now it's very minimal that they're saying that isn't allowed in someone's body. But you're right, it is cumulative over many years.
I mean, it's the same as people try and sell me organic, and I said, at 68, I said, I've got enough chemicals in my body, and I said, eating organic now is not going to make any difference. And he said, it's in there, and too bad. And it's also not regulated. So,
what if in margarine and certain food that they're man-made, what about in meat? What do you call that fat?
Okay, well that's a saturated fat, and that's what I was getting to, is that along, with reducing your fat and keeping your fat content to oil, that if you're having milk or milk alternatives, you want to choose low fat. And if for meat, it's a saturated fat. And so what you'd want to do is trim any fat that might be on the meat, and you'd want to try to cook it also, or prepare it in a way that uses the least amount of fat possible. So that might be broiling it or roasting it. And for fish, and it could also be braising, but for fish you'd want to steam it or poach it, for example, to keep the fat levels down.
Is it okay in olive oil? No?
Well, you wouldn't want to use, if you've used more olive oil than 2 tablespoons during your day, or you'd want to, that's why you want to keep your, you could use some, but you don't want to use more than 2 tablespoons during the day. So, so along with, as we've mentioned before, keeping your choices should be low in sodium, and we've already covered that too, and sugar, and low in sugar, that's for sure.
But Ben, I think you have to be very careful though, because I'm supposed to be on a low fat.
Well,
so.
may I just whatever I'm saying is not taking into account any medical conditions.
No, I realize that. But if you go out and buy all these low fat,
mm-hmm.
and it's double sugar all the way along. So in many cases, you're better off buying the regular product
mm-hmm.
and having less sugar,
mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, you're buying all these low fat ones, but your sugar intake is horrendous.
Your body still needs a certain percent. I think it's about 25-30% fat.
Yeah.
But it depends.
It's, I think, 60 grams a day.
It depends on your the type of fat you're eating. So you would want to concentrate more on the unsaturated fats, which are the mono unsaturated fats and the polyunsaturated fats. So your olive oil, your canola oil, your sunflower oil, butter is saturated.
Like peanut butter.
Well, peanut butter is okay.
Peanut butter, yeah.
It's like in moderation.
You read the label and see what it says. President's Choice has a really good peanut butter, which is 100% peanuts, and just basic peanut oil is in it.
Yeah.
So you do have to watch, because a lot of peanut butters will have a whole bunch of other ingredients within it. So really read your ingredient list. 1
serving of peanut butter, according to the Canada Food Guide, and it's found under a meat and meat alternative, is 2 tablespoons. So that's...
And 1 serving is a tablespoon.
1 serving is 2 tablespoons of peanut butter.
Oh, because I just use 1 tablespoon. Yeah.
Well, Canada's Food Guide serving size is 2 tablespoons.
Yeah.
So that would give you one of your meat and meat alternatives for the day, because you need 2 in a day.
Okay.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
So we've basically covered what the Canada Food Guide emphasizes, and the Canada Food Guide also provides you with information, and it's shown here. There's a table. It's based on gender and age. So anyone, we who are female, 51 plus, it tells you how many servings of each category, each of the 4 food groups that you should be aiming for every day. So for fruits and vegetables, for females 51 plus, you should be aiming at 7 servings per day. For grain products, you're aiming at 6 servings per day. And then it drops way down. For milk and milk products, it's milk and milk alternatives, it's 3 servings. And for meat and meat alternatives, even less, it's 2. Now, of course, the first response is, I can't eat that many servings of fruit and vegetables, I can't eat that many servings of bread. But there's a definite, it's defined as to how much a serving is. And so for fresh fruit, frozen or fresh and frozen fruit and vegetables, and cooked, also it's half a cup.
Oh.
One serving is half a cup. It's also half a cup of juice. So it isn't a huge amount. You could easily have a cup of juice in the morning, and that would give you 2 servings from your fruits and vegetables. If you have a salad, it refers to 1 cup of salad. And so you might have, so that is 1 serving. So you might have 2 cups of salad, and that would, at lunch, and that would be 2. Then at night, if you have a mixture of carrots and peas and beans, you could easily have another cup, which is another 2 servings. So you see it adds up. These are, and for milk or for whole grains, 1 slice of bread is a serving. Half a cup of cooked rice, cooked bulgur, cooked pasta is a serving. So at dinner time, you know, you could easily have 1 cup of rice. It's 3/4 of a cup of cooked porridge, so if you, or cooked oats, cooked cereal. And if you were to have just dry cereal, it's the amount of cereal that would look about the size of your fist. When it comes to milk and milk alternatives, I think I mentioned, well, milk is 1 cup. That's 1 serving. Soy is 1 serving. And cheese, yogurt is 3/4 of a cup. But cheese is a very small 1 ounce piece of cheese.
The size of 2 dice.
Pardon me?
So if you're eating,
yeah, that's right. That's
so
right.
if you're eating a whole pizza, like a small whole pizza, you're way gone.
You're eating lots.
Your sodium will be off the chart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And the cheese in there, it's lots of calorie too.
Also, just
But it depends on what you're doing the rest of the week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you
take
can't
that into
deny
consideration.
yourself
Yeah.
everything. You have to keep little.
Yeah, because
treats for
when you're
yourself.
talking about serving,
Yeah.
like my portions are really small at home,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think even though they're small, they're not as small as you're suggesting.
Then you're having multiples. According to the Canada Food Guide, let's say you have 1 full cup of cooked rice, which isn't a lot.
I
but
know.
1 full cup, that's 2 servings. They have servings. They've used this chart to tell you how many servings you.
So
You
like
should
if I
have.
have a plate of rice,
Yeah.
I'm having like 4 or 5
That's right. Yeah.
servings of.
Yeah, you might. If it's 2 cups of rice that you're eating, that's 4 servings of whole grains, and hopefully it's brown rice.
Yeah, no, I just eat from.
One thing I wanted to say about the fruit: when you choose fruit, it's also a single fruit, but it's the size of a tennis ball. So an apple, for example, this size, if you cut it up, it fits into half a cup. So that's how you. That's the size of whole
But if
fruit. So if you buy a giant apple, then
So
you
if
need to
everybody
eat it.
ate according to the guide and the portions, we would all be a land of thin people.
Well, you would. I couldn't.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's.
Remember, it's 7 servings of fruits and vegetables over the course of the day.
Yeah, but your serving of fruit is
Yeah. 1 serving of 7 is half a cup.
a half a cup.
And we would
And-
suggest to have more vegetables than fruits, because
Yes.
fruits are a little higher in sugar than your vegetables.
Well, I'm eating low fat, so I've given up on sugar. I think I must be.
And if you have meat or fish, your piece of meat or fish should be 2.5 grams, not any bigger, and it would be about this size, the size of a. That's all you need, and that's all that's recommended. Another would be eggs. Now, a serving of eggs is 2 eggs. But you don't have to eat them all at the same time. You could have
A week?
one
A week
per
or-
day. You could have it That's what they, in the course of a day, it doesn't mean you have to have them every single day. In the course of the day, you could have 2 eggs, but it would be the same, it would be considered to be a serving. Or, if you wanted to broaden the amount of nutrients that you get, you could have 1 egg, let's say for breakfast, and then 1 tablespoon of peanut butter at lunch, and that would be 1 serving of your meat and meat alternatives, and then at night you could have your piece of chicken or fish, and then you'd have 2 servings. Do you understand what I mean? You have half of one. You'd have rather than eating two eggs, if you're not following.
No, I understand it, and it sounds great, but I'm just questioning the practicality of eating. You know?
If you were to have 2 eggs, if you were going to make
no, not the eggs, but the whole kind of, you know, the whole kind of thing.
The idea. Well, this is just a guideline. That's all it is. It isn't, you know, it isn't mandated. You try and fit it. It's to help people form their own healthy eating patterns, and it's trying to encourage people to eat a wide variety of foods, but not too much.
Well, smaller,
you know. And to focus really the emphasis, the entire emphasis on fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. And then you can have 3/4 of a cup of lentils would be, or kidney beans would be a serving, and keep your meat down to a small amount. And
but I was reading that when you get older, it's important for you to have more protein.
No, I think you just need the same amount of protein as you needed in the past. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we don't need as much energy, like fat-wise, but we need the same nutrients to keep us going. So that's why you want to cut down on the fat, which it gives you lots of energy.
How about a bowl of squash soup, small bowl, or a vegetable soup? How that's 2 serving or 1 serving?
Are you talking about homemade or?
Homemade.
Oh, well, it would depend on how many cooked. If you have in your soup, if you've got half a cup of cooked vegetables in your soup, in your bowl of soup, then that's 1 serving.
Maybe more, maybe not.
So if it's 1 cup, then it's 2 servings. Yeah. So that's basically.
Wow.
So theoretically, how many servings are we supposed to have in a day?
Well, theoretically, well, what they're proposing is for women, 51 plus 7 servings of fruit, 6 servings of whole grain, so there's 13, 3 servings of milk, so there's 16, and 2 servings of meat or meat alternatives.
That's a whole lot of food.
And one thing I didn't mention, though, and I'm just going to do it very quickly, is the Canada Food Guide says that part of a healthy eating pattern is to eat a plate at 3 meals a day. Maybe I do this. 3 meals a day, and the oh yeah, 3 meals a day and snacks.
And 2 snacks. You can eat a snack, healthy vegetable or fruit.
Right. Yeah. And a snack is a snack. It's not a meal. It could be a couple of pieces of apple with nut butter, and it's meant to give you the energy to go from midday to your next meal, and that's all.
Well,
and I eat small amounts.
We have to remember that this is just a guideline, and that really what you're putting in your body, you also have to be expanding. So the energy out, energy in, energy out. See, there's a balance for that. So if there's too much food coming in and not enough energy going out, then you're going to gain weight. So you need to.
Well, I don't get I wasn't gaining weight or anything, but you know, it was just like I thought, I can't eat one more thing here. You know, I just.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
It was just
as long as your weight is fine and you're not losing weight and you're feeling healthy, you feel like you have energy, then yeah, that's fine. We just encourage eating more fruits and vegetables and the grains, the whole grains. mostly because of fiber. It's really good to have fiber. It keeps you, regular, and water too. So just to have 6, 7 servings of
But
water.
fruit and vegetables are very expensive.
Not if you buy things on sale. If you look through your flyers and you buy things on sale, I don't personally. I don't have a problem with that. But it depends. If you just go in and you say, I'm going to buy whatever, I generally try and buy things that are on sale. If I go on a weekly basis, the sales are always changing, and I go to a few stores, and so I get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't go to the one store.
Well, if you don't drive, it's hard to go to different stores,
Yeah.
And then you buy loads, like I know if you go to these Costco and places like that, you're buying big in bulk.
Oh yeah.
It's certainly less expensive, but if you're one person buying, it's
Well, I find
Okay, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to keep all the questions till the end because we're not going to get through the information. So we're talking about healthy eating on a budget. So we want to talk a little bit about budgeting, and I'm going to hand out. I know you have them. I'm going to hand these out so you can sort of.
I already took one.
Follow along. Okay, if you could get it out. I'm going to be referring to it. So we went through Canada's food guide. So we want to go through meal planning now. That's the next step in cooking or eating healthy on a budget. So the reason why we want a menu plan is a very important step in helping to stick to your budget. Okay, it's easy when you use Canada's food guide to healthy eating. So we always have to keep in mind when we're planning our menu to use Canada's food guide. Think of the 4 food groups and think of our number of serving sizes within each food group. Okay?
What piece is this?
Oh, page 5. Okay. So when we're planning our menu, what we want to do is we want to check our supplies at home. We want to see what we have and what needs to be eaten first. So we want to look in our fridge, we want to look in our cupboards and see what we can eat at home that needs to be eaten first. And then we want to check the newspaper or the store flyers and see what's on sale. And then basically what we want to do is we want to figure out what our main meal is going to be. And then we want to add the other food groups to it. So let's say we pick a meat, chicken for dinner, and then we'll have to add some vegetables, and we'll have to add maybe a grain or a potato if you want to have like a large meal, or you might want to make a couscous salad. So we have to decide what we're going to have for that day, and so we want to start with our main meal, and then we want to plan our other meals around the main meal. And then we also want to use leftovers. So sometimes too it's nice to plan to have leftovers. So you cook once and you eat once or twice. That saves us time and energy, and we always know we have something in the fridge. We don't have to worry about what we're going to eat. So we also want to have nutritious snacks that are lower in calories, fat, sugar, and salt. And sometimes too we want to plan for treats. If there's a birthday or a special occasion. Also, if you want to have takeout, that's nice to do every once in a while, or to go out for dinner to a restaurant. So the next section is on page 6. It's about making your shopping list. So the reason why it's important is this will help you stay on budget as well. If you go into the store with your shopping list in hand and you're focused on just buying what's on that list, then you're not going to buy these impulse items, and you're going to know where you're going and what you need. Okay, so
how much you need to buy will depend on how many people you're shopping for and how many serving sizes. So if it's just, is everybody just cooking for themselves, or, yeah, everybody cooks for one?
That's what I was going to say, because
You cook
what
for
you're
more?
buying, it's a big bunch. But I don't lose it. I used to give it away, cook and give it away, but now,
How many do you cook for?
just myself.
Okay, and how
But
many do you
you've
cook
got no
for?
choice in the store.
Two, okay. And,
More. 3, 5, 2 children, 3 people, I mean 6, we are 6.
2 children and 3 adults?
4 of them.
4 adults and 2 children. Okay. Okay, so you have a lot to buy.
Yeah.
You have a lot of planning to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always look at the flyers, very cheap.
Okay. So
Costco.
what you should do is grab a Canada's Food Guide and look at your different age groups, see how many serving sizes is recommended for the different age groups, and then plan your budget and your meal around that. How many do you cook for? Just one? And you're one?
Proudly one.
Probably. And you?
And sadly one.
Okay. All right. So, so you can see how it's, what you're going to buy depends on how many people you have. Okay. We're going to get into shopping for one and give you some helpful hints on that. Food to have at home, there's a list. I'll let you look at that at your leisure.
Can I just very quickly, because I know you want to rush through, but you have stuff on this list like mayonnaise, like that is so high in fat. Why would you?
There's low fat.
There is low fat.
There are lots of
Mayonnaise.
Yeah.
dressing.
No cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But we really have to save all the questions for the end,
Yeah.
okay? Or we're not going to get through the information, okay? We did allow time for questions. Sample shopping list. So you can look at that at your leisure as well. It's just a sample, okay? Shop Smart is what I'm going to go through next. It's on page 8. So Shopping Smart will help you stay on budget as well. So we want to use our shopping list. I can't emphasize that enough. Shop at supermarkets and fresh produce markets. Convenience stores are way too expensive and it's just not worth it. Shop alone and eat before you go. Always go shopping on a full stomach. If you go shopping and you're hungry, you're just going to grab the first thing you see. Okay, and it tends to be the high fat, the sugar, the salt. So, and also be cognizant of at the end of the aisles, you may think that these things are on special, but they may not be. They usually aren't. So really get your flyers, you know, whichever store is convenient for you. Look at their flyer, and if you, well, I'm hoping everybody gets a newspaper. If not, I'm not quite sure how you look at people's flyers. But I guess when you first...
Well, flyers are all on the computer too.
Yes, they are.
But you know, in some flyers, they have only 3-day sale. Friday, Saturday, Sunday sometimes.
Well, those
That's
are
special.
they
So
want
it's
you to come in those
Yeah.
days because they have a few
Like-
products that
So I
are...
fall under that.
Yeah.
That's what they call bakes.
I always go on Friday. So you can take advantage of that if you can go those days.
On Fridays?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Shop around the outside of the aisles first. So you got your produce section, your bread section, and you have your meat area, and you've got your dairy and your yogurt and your cheeses, and then you got your frozen food section. So all the aisles in between are generally convenience items, prepackaged items, and they tend to be expensive. So, I mean, we do need some of them, your cereals, but try and buy things when they're on sale. If you can stock up on a few things that, if you can afford it, when they're on sale, then you have some staple things, and when you need them, they're there. And that tends to be cyclical. So, you know, you may, depending on the size of your household, you may, I'm personally 2, so I like to have a few things on standby. I have enough food in my house probably for a year. Anyway, okay, so lower cost foods are often found at the top and the bottom of the shelves. So anything in the middle, at eye level, hand level, is probably more expensive. So be aware that if you look high and you look low, you may find better deals.
So tricky, huh?
Yes. Oh yes. Don't forget, they're in it to make money, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't want to get rid of your money. So you've got to be a little bit smarter than they are. Okay, so if you have extra money and storage space, buy items that you can use or that you use often in bulk when you see them on special. So you'll get to know after a while, you know, how many of what you can use over a period of time, because you don't want it sitting in your cupboard either too long. So you want to compare prices between store brands and brand names. Often, you know, the no name may be a little cheaper, but also look at the ingredient list. Make sure that the ingredients are comparable, because you don't want to be eating something that may not be so healthy for you. Unit pricing shows you the cost of an item per pound, per kilogram, per gram, and helps you compare prices of similar items of different brands and sizes. So most stores show the per unit price on the shelf below the product. So that little label at the very underneath part of the product, if you read the fine print, you got to get down on your knees sometime to do this, but it'll show you the unit price. As long as you're comparing same size products, then it's easy. If it's not quite the same size, then you've got a little mathematical equation to do.
So that's mainly for the packaged items.
Yeah, in the aisles, the canned goods, or anything prepackaged. So use food labels to help you choose foods with less sugar, sodium, salt, fat, and more fiber. So Judy's going to talk to you later about leftovers. And here's a sample menu for a week. It's just to give you an idea. And then we have a section on cook your own. This is page 13. So how to make a pot roast, how to roast a chicken, how to make a catch-all casserole from leftovers, how to make an omelet, how to stir fry. They're just easy, simple ideas. And then there's some recipes, a coleslaw. It makes 6 servings, so for anybody that cooks for one, you can divide that in half and get 3 servings. So you're preparing once and eating 3 times. And for yourself, you would probably want to maybe double or triple it for a family of 6. And vegetarian chili, same thing. You can make the 4 servings, and you can eat once and have leftovers 3 times, or leftovers once and maybe it freezes well, so you could, excuse me, have 2 servings at a later time. If you do freeze, anyway, Judy's going to talk about freezing, so I'm not going to mention it. Couscous with summer vegetables, it's a serving of 8. So for cooking for one, you can divide that in half. For a family of 6, you may want to double it or triple it, depending on on how old your children are and how much they eat. There's a macaroni, a quick macaroni and cheese.
But isn't that so, like, I love macaroni and cheese, but I haven't had it for I don't know how long, because I always thought it was so high in fat.
Well, there are low-fat cheeses. Tuna casserole, and the best muffin mix. Actually, this one is kind of good because it's all dry ingredients. It's something you can store. And then you can make muffins at your leisure. And there's 2 ideas here. Chocolate banana muffins, it makes 9 muffins. And then there's apple carrot muffins, and it makes 9 muffins. So you can freeze your muffins too. And there's a fruit crisp, which makes a serving of 6. So for one, you can divide that in half and have 3 servings. For a family of 6, you may want to double it or triple it. So it's a handy little guidebook. On the back, there's additional resources. There's the Good Food box. It's a program in Ottawa where you can get fruit and vegetables. It's a monthly, you order it on a monthly basis. And I think it's small, medium, and large sizes that it comes in. And there's a website there and a number you can call, and there's certain places where they drop them off to, depending on where you live in Ottawa. There's the Ottawa Food Bank. If you find that you're in need of food, it's always there. And then there's the Basic Shelf Cookbook, which is a very basic cookbook. It's easy, simple recipes, nutritious. And that's the Canadian Public Health Association, and it's $7.95 if you'd like to order one of those. So you can look up these. Now I'm going to talk about cooking for one. What we want to do is try and make eating alone easier and more enjoyable by learning to shop and cook for one. So cooking for one starts with planning, menu planning again. Menu plans should fit your likes and your dislikes and match your eating patterns and provide for any special dietary needs. It should include favorite recipes, and once meals are planned, make a shopping list which will help you, 1, save time, 2, help to avoid buying too much, 3, take advantage of bargains, 4, help cut down on impulse buying. And with a few basic ingredients, kitchen supplies, and a few simple recipes, making meals for one can be simple, fun, and enjoyable. So making mealtime special when cooking for one is an important part. This can be done by creating a pleasant setting with flowers, a nice tablecloth, a placemat, or listening to your favorite music. Does anybody find that eating alone is difficult? Or
I think you turn on the television and listen to the news.
Yeah, that's what
Never mind the flowers and the tablecloth. That would be, to be honest, that would be terrible if you're one person and you've got a tablecloth and flowers and you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh my God, you know.
I didn't make up these ideas. Okay, that's good to get your feedback. Okay, so I suggest you try new recipes, try a new food item, start a file of easy recipes for 1 or 2 servings, and you can also use a ready-made food item from the grocery store. So you can find ready-made food items in the freezer section, the deli section, the canned good aisles, as well as at specialty stores or ethnic food stores. And that just gives you a variety. Okay, so step 1. So we want to plan our meals in advance. Take a few minutes every week to decide what you want to eat during the week. Plan a menu using Canada's Food Guide to Healthy Eating. Plan the main meal for each day of the week first, and then add other foods to complete your meal. Then plan your other meals for the rest of the day. So we have some overlap between the 2 topics. You can include up to 3 snacks, and really that depends on the amount of energy you're expending, how much you're going to eat. So we do suggest 3 meals and up to 3 snacks, but if you don't need that, then you definitely aren't going to use it. If you skip a meal, you may not get all the nutrients you need for each day. So that's one thing you really have to be careful of. Because if you're not getting all the nutrients you need on a daily basis, you might run into low energy, or you end up reducing your metabolism a little bit, so your body goes into more of a starvation mode. So you really have to be careful of that. Remember the golden rule, choose foods from at least 3 of the 4 food groups at each meal. That's very important. Get a variety, and to get that's a way of getting all your nutrients that you need in a day. Make sure to eat at least the minimum number of servings from each food group on a daily basis. So Judy went through that.
You know what, sorry, the fruit was 7, the grain 6, the milk 3. But is the fruit, are the vegetables included in the fruit?
Fruit or vegetables.
Fruit or vegetables.
Yeah, fruit and vegetables together. That's one group.
Okay. So you would have 7 of each one?
No.
No, a combo.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
So by planning your meals weekly, you can make good use of leftovers. That's really important. We don't want to throw food away. So I personally like having leftovers. I always cook once and eat more than once. Yes, that's my favorite. Swap menu ideas with friends to add even more variety. That's always fun to do. Look through the grocery store flyer for best buys and meal ideas. I generally try and, I don't know, my menu planning just kind of happens because I shop. I know what I have in my house and I shop with what's on sale and I plan my menu around that.
But are you shopping for 1?
2.
Oh, see, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you can buy a barbecue chicken or chicken already cooked and take off all the skin and all of that, and you can use it for 3 different, like a stew or, you know, all different kinds of, you know, 3 meals.
So when it's on sale, that's what I'll do. The roast chicken that's pre-made, it's on sale, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, because when you factor in the cost of running your electricity and your stove to cook this chicken.
But if it's at regular price, I'm not going to buy it. Okay? So if it's on sale, I'll buy it.
Oh.
That's kind of how I've operated. That works for me.
Oh,
but
okay.
you can buy it when that's a way of reducing your food costs.
And electric costs too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you turn on that oven and wow.
Okay, so step 2 is make a shopping list. Look in your cupboards, refrigerator, and freezer to see what you have on hand. Keep a grocery list handy to add to when supplies run low. Tips on buying groceries when cooking for 1. Look for food that can easily be proportioned into smaller serving sizes. So you've got your rice, your pasta, your potatoes, your frozen vegetables. Buy fruits by the piece. So only buy what you need for the week. So this is cooking for 1. With vegetables, what I used to do is I used to buy the vegetables when they were on sale. And let's say a broccoli or a cauliflower, and I would bring it home and I'd wash it, cut it up, and blanch it.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Put it in little freezer bags according to a serving size. So basically a cup of raw equals half a cup of cooked. And anyways, that's that. And buy smaller cuts of meat or ask the butcher to cut roasted chicken into single-sized pieces. Shop when the store is not busy. That way the employees have time to help you if needed. Take advantage of discount days for seniors. I'm not too sure if the grocery stores do that, but I know that the what do you call it?
Shoppers
And Rexall, the pharmacy type stores, but they have so many food products now. I know I buy my milk there, and it's very good.
Metro has the cooked chicken on Tuesdays on 4 for $6.99.
Oh, I didn't know that.
From 4 to 9.
Okay. Take your list and stick to it. That's a big read. And take care not to buy more than you can use. That's really important too, because you don't want to throw things out. So easy meals to make. A few ideas to keep in mind when preparing smaller meals are prepare foods or meals in small pans and baking dishes. Cut recipes in half so the recipe is tailored to a smaller number of servings. Make use of cookbooks that have recipes that are designed for 1 or 2 people. And I have a few easy meals that you can make. Breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice is one. Pancakes, waffles, yogurt, fruit. pancakes, sausages, fruit salad, cereal, milk, fruit, toast, fruit salad, milk. For lunch, vegetable soup, cheese and crackers and yogurt, chicken or turkey slices, tomato slices and lettuce on whole wheat bread and milk, cheese and tomato sandwich and fruit, salad with boiled egg, cold meat, grated cheese or grated cheese, one of the three, whole wheat bun and yogurt, egg salad sandwich, carrot sticks and milk. For supper, there's a one-pot casserole, so you can put together and bake this. It's 1 part meat or poultry, 2 parts vegetables, peas, carrots, tomatoes, 2 parts rice, macaroni or noodles, and sauce to moisten, so a white or a cheese sauce, canned cream soup, and tomato soup, or tomato soup, one of the 4. Baked fish with mushroom soup, potato or peas, and chili, whole wheat bun, carrot sticks, yogurt. Stir fry any fresh or frozen vegetables with small amounts of chicken, beef, pork, and you can have rice or noodles on the side with milk. So there's quite a variety there. I have some handouts which are over there, and it's the Dietitians of Canada website, and it's senior friendly, and it's all about cooking for 1 or 2 people. And there's meal preparation made easy, easy meals to cook, creative use of leftovers, ready-made meals, and eating alone. So there's a lot of good information there. And I have two other things to tell you. Here's a wonderful cookbook. It's called Fresh and Healthy Cooking for 2. It's by Ellie Top and Marilyn Booth. They have come to the Community Food Advisor Program, and they have shown us some recipes from this book. So I'll leave it here and you can have a look at it. It's a very nice cookbook, and I believe if you're interested you can get it through them.
Where we can get it?
Through Ellie Top and
Not in the bookstore?
no, I don't think so. I'll have to get back on that one because I didn't bring the information. Sorry about that. Okay, and I also have a really interesting resource here. It's called the Senior Chef Cooking for 1 or 2. It's only really a website. I printed this off, so this is
Oh, this
just
whole thing is one? What? Oh, okay.
This is my resource. And it's excellent because it goes through soups, it goes through sauces, chicken, fish, meat, meatless, main dishes, milk and milk products, breads, grains, pastas, vegetables and fruits, desserts, snacks, and beverages. It's phenomenal. And all the recipes are 1 or 2. So,
And they're all on the website?
yeah. So you can always print off any recipe you're interested in.
And the
It's-
website's...
Yeah, the website is up here.
Yeah, okay.
I've written it up here. Hopefully they haven't changed it. This is the BC government, Seniors Life Healthy Eating.
Oh, okay.
So Judith is going to talk to you about leftovers, and we will open the floor up for any questions and invite you to come and take flyers.
I'm only going to briefly touch on leftovers because quite a bit of the information has already been covered. But the leftovers, of course, are kind of a fact of life. And they do provide you with variety in your meals, and they help to ease the burden of food preparation, and they're also good for the budget because it means you're using all of your food. And one of the suggestions, of course, that I was going to raise, but you've already raised it, is with regard to the chicken and removing all of the skin and using the chicken for one meal, along possibly with roasted vegetables and a roll, and then using the rest of the chicken either for lunch the next day or freezing the chicken and possibly using it in a casserole, of which Brenda has already mentioned, and the casserole recipe is in this book. It's very, very easy, and it's very flexible. It could be used with any kind of meat, in fact, any kind of pasta or whole grain vegetables and sauce to give it different flavors. We also, if you happen to have fish and there's some fish left over and you don't want to have it the next day, we have a recipe here for chunky chowder. And this is where you could use the fish in a chowder, and it's a very, very good and nutritious chowder. And we also have, if in fact you are inclined to buy something that helps speed up your making of, or your preparation of macaroni and cheese, we have a recipe here for macaroni and cheese, boxed macaroni and cheese. For people who buy it, for example, it's boxed macaroni and cheese, but you add to it ground beef to extend it, so you're not eating a whole box of macaroni and cheese. You're only eating a very small amount, and you add the ground beef and canned or stewed tomatoes. And in the other one, you can also make the macaroni and cheese, but in this case, rather than using ground beef, you'd use tinned and drained tuna and vegetables. If you happen to have leftover hamburger, for example, we have a recipe here, or mashed potatoes, or even dried potatoes, dried potato flakes. You can make shepherd's pie, but this uses the ground up meat, and then you put vegetables over it, and then potatoes on top of it. And it's a very sort of a different way of a different way of actually eating the same food that you cooked before. And one of the good things about leftovers is if you don't like eating the same meal twice, I for one love it, and I could eat very often the same meal 3 and 4 days in a row, but some people don't. And by separating out the components of your first meal, like maybe you have leftover vegetables and leftover chicken, and you freeze them, put them into freezer bags and freeze them if your freezer allows it. Some freezers are very small. Try to freeze it, and it means that you can use the ingredients later on, if not that week, the following week, and that's where you can have variety. So one week you might have make some small hamburger, some small meatloaf, but put it into, make it in muffin tins, and then you can take out the amount that you don't use and freeze those, and use them for later on in the week or the month. And that would allow you to have maybe chicken, leftover chicken one day, and leftover hamburger the next day, and it gives you the variety that you might want in your diet. So I'm not sure that I have too much more to say about leftovers, other than to cook once, eat twice, or make 3 or 4 extra servings, whatever your freezer can hold or your refrigerator can hold, and according to your plan, because you should plan for your leftovers. You should know, well, I'm going to have leftovers on Wednesday and I'm going to have leftovers on Saturday, for example. And that way you know what it is you're going to be having as leftovers, and then you can also manage your shopping based on what leftovers you're going to be having, and you'll also know how you're going to extend those leftovers. So I shall.
If you want to hear something that I discovered with time, because when you shop, sometimes it's a special price, but there's lots.
Yeah.
So what I discovered is if there's no freezer, you know, the pickle jar or the beet jar, you get more than 3 cups. I cook everything. It's like a stew or a soup. I prefer to have the meat in there, lean meat, no beef. And I sterilize the jar after they've been empty, cleaned perfectly, and I seal it when it's hot. It can keep over 6 months in your fridge.
In the fridge, that's what I wanted.
Yeah. In the fridge. Because you have to know that your cap, it's sealed like canned food, but it tastes good.
Yeah.
It's fresh.
There are particular procedures that you have to follow for canning, and they're very precise, because if it isn't done exactly right, it can cause food poisoning. So you have to be
You know if your
very
cap is sealed. If it's not cave in, it didn't seal. You have to know,
Right.
and no scratch in your cap,
yeah.
that pickle jar or whatever.
Well, I can't comment on the
But it worked.
on the pickle jar, but definitely there are very precise and strict guidelines for canning, particularly foods that don't have a lot of sugar and
Acid.
and vinegars in them. You have to be very careful, very careful about it. And so I don't have any information with me about canning, but I think you can find that on. Do you know if there's any website for canning that we could recommend?
It's usually glass jar I
Brenda?
use, I don't use anything plastic. No plastic, it's all
No,
glass.
no.
But I've been doing this for quite a few years now,
Yeah.
and it worked. Because I used to cook and give it away.
Yeah.
I was not further ahead, because kale, it's healthy, but it's lots. Broccoli is the same thing, the bunch is very nice.
All I can say about that is the procedures are well documented. They're in current cookbooks about how to do canning, and those are the procedures that should be followed with it. And if it's canned properly, then that's good. But if there are any problems with it,
Yeah,
it
well,
would be difficult.
I finish what I have before I make another batch. If I have 6 jar at this high, then it'd be 6 months by the time I cook another big pot, and and it's. I like it with the meat in it, but
You have to be
the
really
meal
careful.
is in itself.
You have to be extraordinarily careful with meat. But,
It worked.
yeah.
But it have to be sterilized, your jar, before you do the work too. Even so your jar been clean, you still gotta boil the water and.
Yeah, well, at this point, I can't comment on that because I'm not an expert on canning. I just know that you have to be very careful. So I'd just like to conclude and just to remind you about the Canada's Food Guide, and to use that in your daily diet preparations and plans. And remember, a wide variety of foods, low fat, low salt, low sugar. And when you go and you are doing your preparations, make sure you plan your meals and you make a list, and you do follow the procedures that Brenda was providing to you about shopping to help you make the most of your budget. And Brenda and I would like to thank you very much for coming and for your interest.